Traders, welcome back to the Trading Psychology Fundamental series. Now, for those of you checking in for the first time, this series is dedicated to uncovering and giving you insights to the key fundamental principles that are essential to master as a trader if you want consistent profitability, if you want to be able to come into the market and trade without the negative emotions and without a lot of the trading mindset challenges and pitfalls 95% of traders fall into. So every video in this fundamental series is going to be incredibly action-packed. You're going to walk away from it with an actionable tool that you can implement to ensure that you actually see a return on investment in your trading. And each of the videos is going to be dedicated to a new topic, a new insight, a new key understanding to have as a trader. So if you find these videos useful, please like, comment, and subscribe, and also share these videos with those traders you think will find them useful, and share them in your trading communities, that type of stuff. Let's get this message of empowering and mastering the trading mindset out there, because it's an overlooked topic in this industry. Now, if you have a particular challenge that you're facing in your trading, specifically with your mindset, please drop it in the comments below and I'll eventually address it in the Trading Psychology Fundamental series. But for today, we are talking all about FOMO, the fear of missing out. Just think about how many positions, if not every position that you've traded as a trader, you're sitting at the desk, you're watching your trade set up, and then the FOMO starts to kick in. That desire to get into the position and the fear of what if it goes without me? What if it goes early? And it's that psychological battle you have with yourself just before you place a position that ultimately either makes or breaks your trading. It either leads you to making poor decisions and decisions that you later regret, frankly, or decisions that are very accurate and very, being very patient and being very precise with your entries. So if you can learn to master FOMO and you can learn to gain control of the fear of missing out, you give yourself a huge advantage in achieving consistent profitability. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down what FOMO actually is. I'm going to be giving you, again, an actionable tool that you can start to implement for every single position to ensure that you actually overcome FOMO. So let's get into it. Now, the problem we're addressing here, what drives FOMO in the first place? If you understand the driving force, like we talk about in a lot of these fundamental videos, you guys probably know that I like to identify the root cause. So when you address the root cause, then you can, that obviously has a knock-on effect and addresses the actual solution, as opposed to just putting a band-aid over something and me just saying go off and meditate and putting a band-aid on the actual underlying issue and then it just popping up again next time you trade. I want to go to the root cause, address that, and give you a tool to ensure that you actually address the root causes. So what's actually driving FOMO in your mind? Let's break it down. Now, my definition of FOMO, as when I pass on to my students that come to me for trading psychology, my specific definition for FOMO is this. It's the fear of missing out, yes, but on specifically the positive expectations that you create in your own mind of the outcome. Okay, so FOMO is obviously stands for fear of missing out, but I added that little component at the end. We fear missing out on the positive expectations of the outcome that we create in our mind. And let me just give you a whack example. If you're, you've probably experienced FOMO in your personal life and you want to go to let's say for example, you don't go to a party and there's a guy or girl that you're highly infatuated with at this party. And you're at home and you know they're at the party. And you have FOMO because you fear missing out on those expectations that you're imposing in your mind and creating in your mind. And you fear missing out on those individuals that you infatuate with and you have fantasies about. That's what you fear missing out on. Because let's imagine that at that same party, every single individual that went to that party you resented, you hated, and you thought you're better than all of them. Guess what? When you're at home, you don't have fear of missing out. You have a relief of missing out. You have the exact opposite. So the FOMO is specifically over those expectations that we create in our mind. So too, if we're infatuated with an outcome of a trade, it has to be a win. I want it to be a win because it's what's going to get me my funded account. It's what's going to get me my car. It's what's going to help me pay my bills. It's what's going to help me get the recognition in my community that I so deserve, right? We think in our mind. If we have those expectations attached to a position, then of course we're going to have fear of missing out on that. Because we fear missing out on all those positive things, all these positive stories we've created in our mind. But FOMO doesn't just randomly appear. It's not just randomly there. You never have a fear of the unknown. That's a complete myth in this industry, in the personal development industry. You have fear over the specific content in your mind that you're thinking about at the time you have the fear. And it's really not that difficult to see. People just don't understand this. People don't have this level of awareness. And hopefully if you watch my YouTube or you've been through some of my programs, you understand this and you can see it. It's really not that difficult to see. Go to a specific moment in your life when you've had FOMO, or next time you have FOMO, get present with this, and you'll see that in your mind, the moment you have the emotion, you have a positive expectation, a fantasy or an infatuation in your mind that you're attached to, that you fear missing out on. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. I spent a little bit of time on that definition, but it's so important to understand what it is. And hey, guess what? When we create the fantasy, we simultaneously birth the fear. I have a fantasy of this outcome, or I have a fantasy of this individual in our real life. Simultaneously, we birth the fear of missing out on that and losing that and getting reprimanded by that. Okay? So the fear of missing out comes simultaneously with the positive expectations we set on the outcome. That's what I just explained. Okay, so you have full control over your FOMO because if you learn to manage and master your expectations and you learn to go from outcome-based to process-based, then guess what? You're not imposing unrealistic, one-sided positive fantasies onto the market of what you want. And guess what? You don't have FOMO anymore. So FOMO is simultaneously removed when you don't set unrealistic expectations in the outcome. But if you're truly present with the market and you're listening to the market and you're communicating your trading plan in terms of what the market presents that day, in other words, you're taking positions that the market presents to you that are in alignment with your trading plan, there's no FOMO. There's just fluid, tapped in, inflow trading. And that's where the really successful, really consistent traders sit. That's where they play out. But of course, we're going to address all of this in this lecture. Just give you a bit of an overview. Now, there's one additional thing here that I've not spoken much about on this channel, and the reason why is because this is something that's popped up more recently with a specific client I was working with, is we get trained into certain behaviors. It's funny, sometimes someone would say like, this person always lies to me, this person never tells me the truth, and you ask them a simple question, it's like, oh, do they tell everybody else the truth? They're like, yeah, they tell everybody else the truth, but not me. And then you have to ask the question, all right, what did you do to elicit that type of response? Because when you previously in the past, you tell them the truth, you reprimand them for the truth. Of course, they're not going to want to tell you the truth, right? So in other words, we train through association certain behaviors. So as a trader, if we have a lot of experiences in the past that are left unaddressed, and by the way, we can address these, right? Many traders don't know how to, but we can address these. I talk in depth about this in my program. But if you have experiences in the past as a trader where you've been sitting at your desk and you are watching the charts and you're thinking in your head, I should get into this position, I should get into this position, but you're like, no, I'm going to be patient, I'm going to wait, I'm going to sit on my hands. And you sit on your hands and you see the position go without you, and that particular position maybe made 10R, or that position would have made you $10,000, or that position would have helped you pass your funded account. And if you're not in it because you were thinking that you had to be patient in that moment, then what you're going to do is you're going to, in your mind, associate a negative, painful experience to being patient. So you're going to train through association. You have enough of those in the past, you're going to train through association the fear of being patient. How interesting is that? So we train ourselves to act in certain ways. So if you're an impulsive trader that constantly has FOMO, one thing I'd be asking you is like, all right, let's go back to a specific moment in your past with your trading where you were actually patient and you got burnt by that and it backfired in your mind. You think it backfired. You think you got burnt by that. And then it'll be like, oh yeah, I see it. I was patient on this particular trade on euro dollar. I thought it was gonna, go a little bit higher, and then it went without me and it made $10,000. Well, it would have made me $10,000. Great. That's a moment in the past that you've got a resentment there that's driving your fear of the future of that happening again, which is driving your behavior. FOMO isn't random, it's very specific. And if you have someone that understands this, working with you as a as a performance coach, they can help you go back and address each of these components. And then people say fear is random. It's not random, I guarantee it. You have fear of missing out, or you have a fear over the specific content in your mind at the time of having the fear. It's the same with any emotion. Emotions aren't random. You have emotions over the very specific content in your mind at that time. Okay, now that you have an understanding of the problem, where this comes from, how it can be impacting your trading negatively, I want to give you some solutions. I'm going to give you a few solutions. So if you have a pen and pad, that's ideal to write these down. Now, the first solution here is a psychological solution. We have to take care of what's happening in our mind at the time of taking a position. Because every too much action or too little action, excess or deficiency in action, is driven by your emotions. It's driven by very specific emotions. We have sometimes more of a desire to be impulsive and seek after something, and we do too much of something. Or sometimes we have a fear that's causing us to hold back and be more risk on in that moment, and we do less. We have deficiency in action. So both excess and deficiency in action comes from certain emotions. So if we implement a psychological solution, we're going to take care of a lot of the fear of missing out, the impulsive trading, all that type of stuff. Now, the first solution here is setting and projecting unrealistic expectations onto the outcome onto the market will keep you on a cycle of FOMO. Now, what do I mean by this? We've spoken about these in previous fundamental episodes, but it doesn't hurt to repeat. You have a virtual market in your head, you've got a real market, the actual market. If we create an idea in the virtual market about what we think is going to happen next, which is an unrealistic expectation because nobody has any idea of what's going to happen next, right? So if we create a story in our mind of what we think is going to happen next, the outcome, and we're now imposing this onto the market, then guess what? The moment we have this positive expectation in our mind birthed and we're imposing it onto the market, simultaneously we create that fear of missing out on that and losing that. Okay? And what happens is the moment we create that expectation, we have that FOMO, the fear of missing out. And the more we do that, the more we impose these unrealistic expectations to the market, the more we have FOMO, because we fear missing out on these unrealistic expectations. We fear missing out on that win or that funded account or that recognition or that new car or that extra cash, whatever it may be. So it's crucial to identify and ground unrealistic outcome-based expectations. It's crucial to have a proper process, a proper tool, the moment before you take a position to guide you to ensure that you're making a process-based decision, not an outcome-based decision, and a line of questioning to be able to ground outcome-based decisions and outcome-based expectations. I hope this makes sense. This is very, very important. So what I've done is I've created a completely free tool for each and every single one of you. There's going to be 2 links. There's going to be one in the description. There's going to be one in the first comment. You can choose whichever one. They take you to the same place. But I want each and every single one of you to download the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool. This is a completely free tool. All you have to do is put your email, and a completely free tool that comes also with 2 videos. So finish this YouTube video first, but go in there and download this, finish this YouTube video, and then watch the tutorial for the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool, as well as the video walkthrough where I'm actually walking you through the tool. Have the tool up in front of you and do that for the next 2 months. Use this tool for the next 2 months if you're experiencing FOMO, and watch what type of a difference it makes in your trading. And first and foremost, what this tool will do is it'll bring a level of awareness of why you have FOMO in that moment. And then one level deeper, it's going to give you a line of questioning to help you ground the unrealistic expectation. And the moment you do, and the moment you get very good at that, you'll see there's no FOMO anymore. Because you're no longer attached to an outcome, therefore there's nothing to fear missing out on. Okay? I hope that makes sense. And guess what? When you're in that state of not imposing an unrealistic expectation, not having FOMO, guess what you're doing? You're listening to the market, and when the market presents an opportunity that's in alignment with your edge, you execute. And if it doesn't, great, it's fine. So by overcoming FOMO and by using the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool, you significantly increase your probability of having consistent profitability because you're more present with the real market and you're consistently executing on your plan, which is what your edge is, which is where you're going to get consistent profitability from. I hope that makes sense. Okay, the other thing you can implement is this, a structural solution. Because another sort of minute challenge that I see traders have is they say I have FOMO, and then when I ask them, all right, what specifically are you doing in this situation when you're trading? What do you do when this sets up like this and this sets up like that? And what are the last few criteria you look for before you put risk on in the market? And how much are you risking in this scenario? And how much do you risk when it looks like this? And when do you try to break even? And they're just standing there wide-eyed like, I have no idea. Well, that's also part of the reason why you have FOMO, because you don't have a clear process-based plan that clearly outlines what you need to see in the market to execute. So the other solution here is ensure you have a clear step-by-step process-based trading plan. You have an edge, you know your edge is proven, then you break your edge down step by step into a trading plan. You want to know what the area of value is on the higher time frame, and you want to know what the last little few lower time frame indications you need to execute in that position, to put risk on in the market, which I call entry criteria. You want to know your higher time frame value areas of value, and then when you drill down to a lower time frame, you want to know what specifically you look for to take the position when you do multi-time frame analysis, for example. Okay, but the point here is make sure your actions as a trader are as mechanical as possible. You have an edge, you've broken that edge into a step-by-step checklist, just like a doctor would, just like a pilot would, just like any professional that deals in high-risk endeavors does, you want to do too as a trader. Now, in summary, FOMO arises simultaneously with unrealistic expectations in the outcome. The lifesaver here will be identifying and grounding unrealistic outcome-based expectations, just like I teach you by using the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool. So if you haven't already, go into the description, go into the first comment, click the link, put your name, first name and email in there, and then you're going to get sent the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool. You've got 2 videos in there as well as a downloadable tool. I want you to watch those 2 videos and then implement that tool for the next couple months and see what type of a difference it makes in your trading. And message me as well, let me know, okay? And then also don't forget to have a clear trading plan, especially a clear entry criteria. Those last little few things you look for before you take an entry. So if you found this useful, please comment your main takeaways in the video below. Please like, and if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do. There's gonna be many more of these fundamental episodes coming out. Now, if you know that this video is gonna benefit your trading community or your trading friends, please copy and paste the URL and send it to them. Let's get this message of mastering your trading mindset out there. But I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.